Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Jeffrey Mitchell, and this is a video that I do not want to make. I really don't. I love Facebook. I love my Facebook friends and family and all that. But the conversation on Facebook, I admit, back in the day, I used to be one of those flamer guys. I used to antagonize people, and I do believe I was fairly good at it. I was probably more 50% antagonize and flame, and 50% I know you heard me, and you got to think about that. And regardless of what I said or what I did or my intentions, I never said anything in earnest that I did not believe was true. I always stuck to the facts. I never name called. I never just went after somebody and just like needled them. I would always go after what they said, how they said it, or present something to their argument, the most simple thing to their argument that'd just get them to thinking. Not even destroy their argument, not even wreck it or anything, just to get them thinking. And I learned how to do that. But nowadays, with so many people on Facebook, and the mainstream, everybody's on Facebook now. The discourse, the conversation, the discussion it's so polar and so political and so either you're with me or you're against me. And the number one thing right now, Trump. Either you hate Trump or you love Trump. Get off my page if you support Trump. Get off my page if you're a racist. That's a whole other thing too. Everything is racism now. You're a racist. He's a racist. Now all of a sudden white people, if they're quiet, they're racist. Silence is violence. I'm going to tell you now. That statement in itself is going to get Trump reelected. Because all y'all living in y'all little bubbles. A buddy of mine put a post 2 times about he wanted to see Candace Owens followers, or call it Candace Owens supporters. He ain't got none. He ain't got none on his timeline or his friends list. And this dude is like a musician who's always out there, making connections and reaching out to people. And he ain't got none. And the ones that he does have on his are going to be closet. Nobody going to say anything in this climate. No supporter of Candace Owens during this whole racism is everywhere. We're doomed. We're going to all get lynched. Is going to say anything pro Candace Owens or even Nuance. We can't even say Nuances anymore. It's either you hate us or you love us. It can't be, well, yes, Officer Chauvin, or what his name is, was wrong. He deserves to burn in hell. But George Floyd wasn't the most model citizen in the world. You can't even make that nuance. You can't even make the distinction between the two because you need to stay on narrative. They all need to die. George Floyd was perfect, and the officers are hell. Police are all wrong. ACAB, all cops are bastards. It's either all or nothing. And that's where I think we'll never get anywhere. As long as the conversation stays like that, we'll never get anywhere. Because it's not that easy. It's not that simple. It's just plain and simply not that simple. You have to be able to make distinctions. Number one, here's one. You being followed around in a department store or a store by security because you're black is not the same as police brutality and what George Floyd went through. You walking down the street and a white lady grabs her purse and walks to the other side. That don't mean you can't breathe. You shouldn't be going, oh, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. She called me a nigger. She called me a nigger. Oh. There are nuances. There are levels that may come from the same spear. It may all come from racism. I'm not even saying it does. I'm for the sake of this talk right now, I'm going to say maybe it does. There's different levels of aspects of racism. I believe there are certain things in life you're going to have to just go through and put up with. And then there's a middle ground that where it gets kind of hairy, to where it becomes there are laws. There are literally laws to prevent it. And there are things that are just outright egregious. Say, for example, the officer, George Floyd, the officer killed him. How did that become racial? How did that become racial? Is there anything in that officer's background that made it seem race related? Police go through hell. I can imagine. For me, I think police live in a war zone. Now you go up to the police up in Cupertino or Mayberry RFD, where Barney Five only has one bullet. Of course you're gonna get a hi officer. How you doing? How are you doing today, Ms. Robinson? Now you go down to some place where a zone where police are walking around knowing there are people out there that will kill them if they could, where the people that they're policing have more guns just like they do and will kill them. When you are in war, you need to take the mentality of a warrior. Maybe police do have a brutal and a warrior and a soldier. I don't want to, put soldiers down, but in a war attitude, a mental war. I mean, they're out there on the front lines going to war. And just because that mentality, that bravado, that bulliness, whatever, may spill over into a black person, that doesn't necessarily make them a racist. Just because a person says a racial slur doesn't make them a racist. There are nuances, and we don't need to do shit, number one. I think we should be able to recognize the differences and the nuances and don't just blanket everything as racism. Just because a security guard follows you around in the store, that's not police brutality. That's not harassment. There are degrees and there are gray areas. I've seen people on my timeline or whatever talk about almost comparing what George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and all these people went through, comparing that to them getting pulled over because they were driving black. Do you know there's 50,000, they're estimated there are 50,000 stops a day in the United States. Police stop people 50,000 times a day, is estimated. That's like 10 million times a year. And it is noted that there seems to be a racial bias that black people get pulled over more. Maybe they drive crazier. I don't know. Black people do like to put a little something on their little thing. Maybe they on the phone. Maybe they dancing. Maybe they got their Michael Jackson on or something. I'm black. I can say these things. Whatever reason, that's true. Okay, that's true. That's racial bias. Okay, racial bias. That's true. Of the 10 million stops, racial bias, 20% more chance of being pulled over if you're black. That is not police brutality. That is not what George Floyd went through. You cannot equate the same. They are not the same. These are two different things to be looked at two different ways. And I'm sure it's easier for the narrative to lump it all into one, to make it all one thing, to just pile it on. This is more, put more in the fire. This too. Oh yeah. One time, a white lady looked at me funny. Oh, and that whole Karen thing. Now, hold up, y'all. Hold up. Here's what I'm talking about, nuances, people. And I understand you got to stay on point. I understand you got to stay on message. But that one lady who called the police on the gay black dude bird watcher cat, there was something wrong with her. There was clearly something wrong with her. To take that and make that racial, I understand, plays into the narrative. White people sucking it up. I hope I go back to that about how sickening white people are right now and compassionate. Like I said, I don't want that compassion. I don't want them looking at it. I don't want to be in there. I don't want to be that person. I don't want that from them. I'd rather have them try to put their foot in my ass than to walk up and try to hug me. That was low-lying fruit, people. The Central Park lady who said there's African-American meat, of course she played the racial card. Hell, we all do. You play it. When you go to a store, a restaurant or something, you and your attitude and your little moves, you play it. We all play the racial card. We all have to play the card that we're dealt. The blonde with too much cleavage and too short a skirt, she plays the blonde card. The nerdy guy, He plays the nerdy guy, the jock. We all play our roles. And we have these stereotypes and the way we look and the way we distinguish to help us identify what we're dealing with. If I'm gonna walk up into a nerdy guy, I'm not gonna go, "Hey, what's up, homie?" No, I'm gonna say, "Hi, how you doing?" If I walk up onto a homie looking dude, I'm gonna say, "You dude, what's up?" You know, my whole tone changes. I talk to him differently. This is the way we got to identify who we're doing, what we're dealing with, and also it's the way to identify danger. I don't give a fuck what you say. Even Reverend Jesse Jackson said years ago that he saw a dude walking towards him, and he said he would have felt more comfortable if that was a white dude instead of a black dude. We all do it, black or white. You're not gonna get rid of it. Is my point. You're not gonna get rid of that. You're not gonna get rid of some. Okay, let me go back. Let me finish up the Central Park thing or whatever, the Karen Birdwatcher thing. She was crazy. There was something wrong with her. She played the race card. That doesn't make her racist. That doesn't make her racial bias. That doesn't mean that that's not police brutality. That's not indication of systematic racism. That was some crazy. You can see by the way she was grabbing on the dog and her emotions. There was something wrong with her, and she played the race. She tried to call and play the race card. Hell, I would have too. She was trying to hurt you, like Paula Dean said, or somebody else said. When they say that, when somebody said the word nigger, she said, "I said it because I was trying to hurt them." They are trying to hurt you. There's nothing wrong. People try to hurt people all the time. That's what we have to do. It's nature almost. Well, it's human nature to put that little, extra aspect that it hurt them. You sometimes you're out there to hurt people. You want to hurt them. You want to lash out at them. And you want to use words that hurt. So all of a sudden you can't use the word nigger. Guess what somebody gonna do if they want to hurt you now? They know a word. If I'm on the basketball court, championship game, you at the foul line. I know if I call you a nigger, you may miss that shot. All's fair in love and war. All's fair in love and war, baby. But I bet you that basketball player has been trained and conditioned to go above that. And that's almost what we need to do. That little bit of bullshit needs to be it needs to be filtered out from the real stuff like police brutality. I'm not saying police brutality doesn't exist. I can understand the whole police enforcement thing. You got to walk around macho. I mean, their lives on the line. They're dealing with stuff. Sometimes you just need that authority. Like Trump being a bully, sometimes you need a bully. Sometimes you need a bully just to say, shut up, we're just going to go this way. It may not be the most efficient way. Some people may get hurt. It may not be the most congenial, ethnic or whatever way, but it gets it done. And I think that's what's happening in the economy. He's a bully, he's this and that, but there are people behind him who understand the way he's running it and they like it, and that's why the economy's doing good. Now, if you get the Democrats in there with their philosophies and their funding and spending, it may disrupt this whole thing we got going, because right now the economy's doing good. Looks like I got my money back from the stock market. I'm happy. I got a job. The unemployment is going back down, blah, 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 blah. Make sure I'm recording. Okay. So I got to go back to the Central Park thing again. She was crazy. But I understand how they took that fuel from that and threw it on the race card thing. Oh, we're just so racial. Oh, systematic racism. Some racism will always exist. Some racism will always exist. When you walking down the street and there's a person walking towards you, if it's a white female, you're going to feel some way. If it's a black female, you're going to feel some way. If it's a white male, you're going to feel some way. And if it's a black male, you're going to feel some way. The age of that person is going to have something to do with it. The way they walk, the way they carry themselves. It's a matter, you can almost break that down to a matter of survival, because there's sometimes you need to be on point and you need to have fear. You go around certain neighborhoods, you need to be able to recognize who's a threat and who is not. And that goes from a black person being in a white neighborhood or a white person being in a black neighborhood, white, black. It just so happens that race just happens to play into that. We'll never get rid of that. It's like it's the barometer. Here's some stuff we'll never get rid of, no matter how much we try. And quite frankly, I don't want to get rid of it. This little stuff in here, this little bullshit racial stuff and these little idiosyncrasies we have, I think makes life spicy. Now, when you get over here, there's a gray area in here, but over here you get some stuff that's just downright against the law. Like police brutality. Now that's something, police brutality, that is not what I'm talking about. That's something that needs to be eradicated. And it seems that the whole tying it to a racial thing is working. Well, it doesn't seem like it. It is working because the whole goddamn world is all compassionate. All these white people are going, oh, all the white people just, oh, I feel so, my black people, my black people. Oh, and Greg Popovich, that's another thing. This is kind of what all started. Is George Popovich or Greg Popovich, whatever, the Spurs. Very impassioned speech. I get it. You know, the world's impassioned. Companies giving money to black people. This, that. It just bending over backwards. You know how far y'all gonna have to bend over to satisfy black people? You cannot bend over far enough to satisfy. Once you are a victim, they have that victim mentality, you're always gonna want. It's gonna have to come a point where somebody inside the black community, white people, gonna say, all right, that's enough. Enough is enough. Smack them around a little bit so black people stand up and start taking care of themselves. White people say, yep, that's enough. We done did enough. Black people from internal and leaders are going to say, all right, look, we got to start asking whitey for shit. We got to get ourselves together. We got to get ourselves together and take care of this ourselves. And usually what happens when after you get your butt kicked or something happens, you know, when Chicago beats Detroit or whatever, or Detroit beats Chicago for the first time or whatever, you realize, okay, we had to beat them. You just got to get your butt kicked to make that step. And I think that's what we need to do. Because as long as you keep giving and giving and giving, black people are going to keep playing the victim card. Okay, back to George Greg Popovich for the Spurs. He said it was a lynching. One thing about lynching, the one thing that's undeniable about lynching is that it's intentional. There's no fucking doubt about lynching. It's intentional. That's the whole idea behind lynching. He compared what happened to George Floyd as a lynching from the police officer. Now, I'm not saying the officer should get off. I'm not defending the officer. The officer was wrong. He needs to burn in hell. But here's where you got to start thinking about nuance and the details. Do you think that officer deliberately set out to kill George Floyd? Do you think that that officer deliberately wanted to kill George Floyd? That would make it murder. That would make it a lynching. He just said, all right, oh, there go a nigga. Let's go get him. Let's go get him and string him up. That's a lynching. There go one. Let's go get him and kill him. That's a lynching. Should things escalated into the death of George Floyd, regardless of circumstances, regardless of health, regardless of prior history, that's different than a lynching and murder. Things just happen to happen. Should we roll him over? Should we not? What's going on here? He was, like he said, he had his hand in his pocket. He was casually on the dude's neck. I wasn't there. I don't know, but I don't think he meant to kill the dude. But that doesn't exonerate him from being wrong. He's still wrong. But for it to be a lynching, he was going to have to say, hey, we're going to kill this nigga. Let's go get him. Now, if you believe that is what the officer had in mind, that's your opinion. If you believe that all officers have that on their mind, that's also your opinion. If you believe that all white people, and let me tell you, white people, there are black people who believe that all white people are evil. And let me tell you, white people too, y'all up here defending black people. There are a lot of black people, who do not like white people, can't stand y'all for what y'all did for 400 years. And it's irrevocable. Just like there's white racists, there's black people who will never like you no matter what you do. They've never met the white people I meet out here in California, in San Francisco, and LA, who are so congenial and benign and millennialish that it's sickening. It's truly sickening. And I don't want them showing me that favor or that compassion or even looking at me with that disposition. I'd rather have them fear me. I'd rather be, in fact, when I'm walking down the street, I want to be that guy. I want to be that wolf, that tiger, that beast. I want you to look at me that way. Of course, I could probably get in a lot of trouble for saying that, as the police look at me that way too. And they do. I mean, let's face it, they do. When people walk up on me, I'm treated a certain way. And I appreciate the way that. When I get on the bus, sometimes little kids on the bus acting up, I'll get on, they'll settle down. Because I am that beast. I am that guy. I play that role. That's the role that I have. Just like I said, when that little blonde with too much cleavage on and too short a skirt get on, she's going to be treated and things are going to react a certain way. There's certain things she's going to be able to get away with that I can't. There are certain influences she's going to be able to have on people that I don't. And there's certain influences that I have on people that she doesn't. That's just our role. That is on this side of the spectrum. That is never going to go away. Now, the illegal and police brutality stuff we need to address. Are the police corrupt? Are most of them corrupt? Do you feel that the majority of police officers are corrupt? How many of your friends are racist? How many racists do you know? Now, I'm not talking about a friend who says racist things. I'm not talking about a person who says, oh, yeah, them niggers are black people, or has a opinion or has provocative thoughts about people of different races. You're allowed to do that. You could be that and not be racist, you know. You know, you can have family members who talk about black people or white people in a certain way, and that don't make them racist. They're just able to have distinguishing features and specifics about what they like and don't like among white and black and Hispanic people. There's a difference between being a true racist where you hate the other person, which black people can also do too, and then just having nuanced or characteristic feelings about certain things. I said that wrong, but you know what I mean. It's not black and white. Anyway, my name is Jeffrey. I think I did pretty good on this. I hope it recorded. Looks like I got everything set up right. I really do hope it came out. And the whole point of this is just, I'm not saying right or wrong, left or right. I'm just saying, I just want to talk about it. I want to be. And another thing about the Candace Owens thing, I've seen miles and miles of comments about what she said. Tons and tons of replies. Not one addresses anything she said. They attack her. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Agree or disagree, watch Fox News or MSNBC or not. I watch MSNBC and I can't stand it. I watch Don Lemon. I can't stand it. I watch Fox News only because I can't stand MSNBC and CNN so much. And Don Lemon, he's at the point now, there's no news anymore. It's how do you feel? How do you feel about what the president did? What happened here? What do you think should have happened? What is wrong? And Cuomo was interviewing somebody yesterday. It was pure editorial. He was just it was his pure editorial comment, and I'm sure that's what those shows are for. Those shows aren't news, and I have to realize that. But I still watch them, and I watch Fox. Same thing, to get both sides. Newsy is the only one that tries to stay straight. Newsy tries to pretty much straight. Newsmax tries to do it too, but you know they're far right. They're far right and conservative. Newsy tries to do it the best, and they don't irritate me with their liberals. Sometimes they do. They have that liberal talking. Well, I'm just trying. We're just going to get it here, and I got talking that little girl kind of bouncy, singy voice, reporting. And here we go around. It just bugs me, and every now and then they'll have that on there. But the white dude who's on there usually kind of keeps everybody, he kind of keeps it straight. He even said they don't have pundits on there and do this and do that. Anyway, my name is Jeffrey Scott Mitchell. I got to go. I hope this came out. And like I said, the whole news thing, ad hominem Candace Owens, I haven't seen one retort about what she said. Not one thing about her point that she made in the George Floyd video that she made. Nobody, oh, she's just a coon. Oh, she's one of them. Oh, forget her. Don't give her no props. Don't do this. Don't do that. How about addressing something she said? Huh? How about being nuanced and say, look, I don't agree with her, but this. I don't agree with her, but that. The same way with Trump or your enemy or any enemy. If you have an enemy and you can't see nothing that they do right, then you're the problem. No, then you have a problem. If you have an enemy and you can't see not one thing that they do right or that you can say, that's pretty good, then you're not seeing it correctly. Because nothing is pure evil. Nothing is pure anything. Nothing is pure good. Nothing is pure evil. It just don't happen. Not even second Jesus, Barack Obama. Not even Barry. Not even Jesus was perfect. But, so if you can't see something or find something in your most hated opponent, me, the Patriots, I'm a Steeler fan. Do I hate them? No, I've got to love them now. They're the greatest. I can't put them down. I can't stand them beating Pittsburgh. It kills me every time they beat us. I die every time they beat us. But I have to respect that Tom Brady is the greatest. I just can't demonize them. There are points, even with Trump. There's nuance. We have to be able to play the nuance. We have to say, all right, Trump is fucked up here, but he did do a good thing on China. Or he did do this for this. You can't say he's all racist and then turn around and see where he gave to black colleges and did that. You have to be able to discern. Even if you're thinking it's flawed and you say, oh, he just did that to get the black vote. Well, Ain't that what votes for? Anyway, my name is Jeffrey. Swinging on y'all 2 times. I think I did this all right. Hey, I should go out with the outro. I'm going to try to go out with the outro. All right? Swinging on y'all 2 times. Guess what my name is? Jeffrey Scott Mitchell.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jeffrey